Well, we're here on Veterans Day, and we are at the Bottle House on behalf of the Battle Within, doing great work helping first responders and veterans right in our backyard here in Kansas City. And somebody who has been through the program is Keara Torkelson. She is a former U.S. Army Reserve Sergeant joining us here on KCMO on Veterans Day. Keara, it's great to have you on. You know, I know you've gone through this Battle Within program, but you have a very unique and interesting backstory from the standpoint of you were injured in the Fort Hood shooting. If you could just take us through that and what that experience was like, how traumatizing it was, and how it led you to the Battle Within.
Yeah, I was getting ready to deploy to Iraq with my unit, which was a mental health unit. And it was just, we had just gotten to Fort Hood. I was just sitting there reading my book. And all of a sudden a man jumps up and yells, I don't know if he jumped actually, but a man was standing there and he shouted, Allah Akbar, and started firing right into the crowd that I was sitting in, of about 40 to 50 people right there. And pretty instantly I jumped down to the ground, and the top of my head was burning and I was bleeding. So I almost stood up and was like, hey, time out. I thought it was a training exercise, because how does this happen when we're still at home at Fort Hood? So I quickly realized that it wasn't a training exercise and tried maneuvering my way through, and I turn around and look, and he was standing behind me a few feet away shooting people on the ground, and I was just waiting for him to keep raising his gun until he shot me. And I saw another soldier charge him with a chair, and that gave me the opportunity to get up and run around to the side of that room where I was behind cubicle walls, and I'm a little bit vertically challenged, so I couldn't see over the walls to see where he was going. So I followed another sergeant that was from my unit, who was very tall, and we waited and waited, and finally we ran out that front door that he started shooting from. And I ran to behind a car, and then behind a Connex, and then finally into another building. And at that point, I felt that I had been shot in my back as well. I'm not exactly when that happened, but I pulled off my jacket, and another soldier pulled the bullet out of my back, out of my shoulder. And it was just chaos for so long after that, with healing and trying to make sense of everything, and then trials, and it was a very long healing process.
So what led you to the Battle Within? How did that process work for you? How did your path lead you to the Battle Within?
So I had been working on more holistic approaches for my healing, because I knew the pharmaceuticals weren't working for me, and some of the mainstream things weren't. So I had heard about this program, and my dad had just passed away, and I was spiraling down into a really dark place again. And I just said, you know what? It sounds pretty holistic. Sounds like it's in line with what I'm trying to do. So I signed up, and I went through the program, and it's been life-changing for me, so much so that I love to go back and be a part of it to help change other people's lives as well.
We're being joined by Keara Torkelson. She was injured in the Fort Hood shooting going on 10 years ago now, and she's also gone through the Battle Within, who, of course, we are partnered with today, thebattlewithin.org, to be a part of it, donate to a great cause right here in Kansas City, helping veterans and first responders with that initial healing process. Keara, was it one of those things where you were somewhat skeptical at first, didn't know, how well it could help, how much it could help? Was that part of this? And if so, how did you kind of overcome that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember on the drive up, I wanted to turn around so many times and just not go. It had been so long since I'd been dealing with PTSD. But once I got there, and I mean, even up until Wednesday almost, you still feel like crap and you want to leave and you're like, this is stupid. And then Wednesday happens, and it's just something magical that happens there. It's really a turning point, and it really is life-changing.
Mm-hmm. Keara, as you go back, and you mentioned, you're being kind of continue to be a part of everything with them and what they do. How has that been, just seeing other people and their successes going through this and digging out of dark places?
I mean, that is so fulfilling for me personally. I love seeing that and being able to be there for people and help them. And I mean, they say hurt people hurt people. Well, healed people heal people as well.
Mm-hmm. Keara, as you look back, I mean, it is almost 10 years to the day, right? Since that shooting at Fort Hood. I mean, what has that been like, and how has the battle within and what you learned through that program kind of helped you in the healing of dealing with a 10-year, I hate to call it an anniversary, but a day that obviously does live in infamy?
Yeah, that day, just last week, and it was really hard, but I had so much support, and being part of this program and having those people to support me as well on that anniversary was really helpful as well. And then, using those tools that I've been given to meditate and go to a quiet place and calm my body was very helpful as well.
And Keara, how about you now? I mean, just personally, professionally, and how have things been going for you here lately?
Well, I'm doing a lot of mom stuff with my boys getting older and in sports, but I do a lot of speaking events all over the metro area and even further into other states. And if I can just keep giving back and helping others have a holistic healing, then I'm feeling pretty fulfilled myself.
She is Keara Torkelson joining us here on 710 KCMO 103.7 FM, sharing her incredible story going through the Battle Within program. Keara, thank you so much for the time. Great to have you on. Really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.